My name is Eddie Ellis, and as a child, all I wanted to do was play professional football or basketball. Because the athletes that I saw as a child were role models. They gave back to their community, and they gave people in the community a second chance and an opportunity to do the things that they wanted to do. At the age of 16, my life took a turn, and I was locked up and charged with homicide case while trying to protect myself. And throughout my prison time, I found ways to educate myself and better myself as best as I could because I knew one day I would come home. And when I come home, I wanted to be a part of the community and give back to the community. We're gonna have a discussion with some people who've been impacted by the system, some people who work inside the system as social workers to talk about other alternatives for young people. And I think it's very important. And I just want people to, listen to this conversation and understand why we should not be treating children as adults.
What gives me hope? I will say, if you asked me this question 2 years ago, I probably did not have hope. A lot of changes has happened in my career, and in my changes, I have met folks across the country who have the same beliefs that I do. And that right there started giving me hope.
The hope is I see change. It's incremental, but it's change. You know, a lot of times people look at it from a pessimistic perspective. But for me, the hope comes in every day we get up. And I say we because I work alongside you. Every day we get up and we find something positive to look forward to.
What gives me hope is just the enthusiasm, the love, the care, the concern and compassion that young people have, and their fierceness in advocating for a more just and humane society.
I want to ask everybody, how are you showing up today in this space?
Yeah, I think I like the way I always try to show up, which is just be present and lead with love. Like, that's it. Like, if I can be present and just always leading with love, then that's me. So that's how I am here.
That's interesting. Oh, y'all just all looked at me. I guess the same way. I want to feel present, understood. I get nervous sometimes on my words, so I'm hoping it all comes out correctly.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I show up with best intentions as always. I try to walk in with the best intentions, whatever room I walk in.
Well, I'm glad y'all say that. Y'all was so positive. No, I do. I'm showing up today present, feeling, nervous but positive, and thankful to be able to have this conversation with you all, because one way or another, all of you are important to my life, So thank you. But I also want to ask, what does community care mean to you, and what does that look like, to you?
We don't always have the coping mechanisms. We don't always have the therapeutic access that is necessary for us to get to a place of health and well-being. And so for me, community care is about undoing the mentality of rugged individualism and understanding that we thrive best in community.
What more can we do as a community to support our children, to show them that they're appreciated, that they're loved? What more can we do as a community?
I'm an 80s baby, right? 70s baby, grew up in the 80s. And my neighbors, my community was present. My SEPTA driver, the bus driver, was present. The church, the masjids, present. The newsy neighbors on my block that told my mom everything that me and my brother did, but they were present.
I won't show my age, but I remember some of it. I remember some of it. I don't remember all of it. No, seriously, but for me, I know what our children need amongst a lot of stuff. It's just to be kids. Yes. Our kids aren't afforded opportunity to be looked at as children in any light. And with not being an opportunity to look at as children, we're robbing them of their innocence, their naivety. They are too engaged in adult things at no fault of their own. And so they are robbed of being a child. And if we restore that opportunity for them to be children again, then they can live in that oblivion of innocence.
We have a lot of social workers in the community, right? What they should be doing, I'll just go off of myself, talking to the community, right? Having conversations, but listening. And that's something that a lot of folks don't do. So when you're in your communities, in any community, you have to have conversations. You gotta hear the community. Don't just like, oh, they said this, like literally hear them. Because if you're hearing what they're saying, that will help you in your realm of the social work, right? And I don't see that quite often.
I was sentenced to life without possibility of parole, otherwise known as death by incarceration.
I was 17 years old when I went to prison in 1991. Currently, I'm 51 years old.
What am I doing with my life at this time? Trying to live a purposeful, meaningful life that is geared in service. And that's both in a professional capacity, but also just as a grandfather, as it was, as a husband, as a community member. So in my work, I work for the National Campaign for Fair Sentencing of Youth, and our work is really about trying to dismantle and abolish life without possibility of parole and other extreme sentences for children.
One of the first things I think we do as a misnomer is the people that were accused or actually perpetrated crimes ignore the rights of the victim. I think people need to understand in our maturation process, in our rehabilitation process, we put them forward first and foremost. A lot of the things we do is in honor of the lives we destroyed.
Just imagine a world. That's what hope looks like. Just imagine, one of our youth, one of our children get caught up in a situation, and you talk about community. The resources are in the community. Such and such, got into an argument with someone and they didn't understand how to respond to that particular person, but it was mental health. You know what? Let's take them down the street to that mental health facility to get help. Oh, the police are going to help us. They're going to take them down there because they get it. Because the police department have been trained in mental health versus being trained to handcuff. Just imagine the world that let's sit down and talk to that fella who probably had an issue with that young lady down there and said maybe not the best things to this young lady. Let's have a seat. Let's go over to Miss Such and Such house because she just made some good old iced tea. We're gonna sit down and drink some iced tea and let's get in a circle. Let's talk. Let's talk about our feelings. Resources. That's what children need. Children do not need death penalty. Children should not be having a conversation of life without the possibility of parole. They're children.
I'm enraged by the thought that we consider the most vulnerable amongst us receiving the most severe punishments. Mm-hmm. That says something about us as a society. But I want to take it just a step further. No child is born bad. And harmed children tend to harm others. When we think about us as human beings and how we exist in the world, it's through our senses. When your sense of smell is always the stench of fear and hopelessness. When you think about the sense of touch and you're deprived of that, you're deprived of the tenderness of a kiss, an intimate moment, and all that you hear, all that you feel is the harsh reality of prison. It deadens your senses. And when we say life, the reason why we call it death by incarceration is because every day a piece of you is dying. To be willing to kill a child, to be willing to kill a child in that way speaks to the utter cruelty of a system that thinks that that's the appropriate accountability for a child. And I would end by saying, as I stated earlier, that harmed people harm others.
Since I've been home, I had the opportunity to create my own organization, One by One Inc., that work with young people and family members of those who are returning back to society, but also young people who've never been in trouble before. I've had the opportunity to speak in probably 100 classrooms from college to high school, to talk about preventive things and to talk about the impact that the criminal justice system is having on certain communities. And one of the most important things to me is me, being able to be a father. We're all a part of this puzzle, and when we give, ourselves to the community and to humanity, we can make a difference, and that was very important to me. And that's all I've been doing since I've been home, helping those who come home get jobs, get resources. So we just creating positive space for people that's been impacted by the system to be able to grow and live a life, a productive life, and productive doesn't mean them doing anything wrong, just living the best way they can. And that's something that I'm very proud of. But I want people to understand this also. As children, we went through these things, and brain science talk about how we age out a lot of these things. And I just want you to know this, that change is possible. And it took me years to figure this out, to change my life, but I changed my life. And I'm doing awesome in the community, and I'm giving back. And there's thousands of us across the country who are doing the same thing.
No child's born bad.